welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little bit of a different video for you because in my last video when I did my big grocery shop, I asked you guys if you were interested in learning some of my super easy Asian dinner recipes, and there was a lot of enthusiasm. So today I'm going to start the series off by just showing you what I eat in a week. This week in particular, I'm cooking a lot because we have so many fresh veggies in the fridge that I want to get rid of. Let's get into it, shall we? Today we are starting off with one of the easiest recipes you could probably do. All you need are your aromatics, so shallot, about 3 cloves. I always use extra garlic, about this much ginger. I have 1 jalapeno here and about 3 green onions. So this is what is gonna give it flavor. I also have an orange here that I'm going to just peel. That is gonna go in my sauce as well. I have 1 block of firm tofu that we are going to just cross-hatch and fry up. And then we're gonna make this lovely, sweet, tangy, spicy sauce for a lot of protein and a lot of flavor. This recipe is originally adapted from Kirsty, and I'll link her Instagram as well. These aromatics are things that you should just keep in every kitchen. I like shallots for recipes like this, or like a pad thai. It's basically just a sweeter onion. Usually we would eat this just with some rice. I obviously have a nice rice cooker that actually my lab got for me as my wedding present. We're also using it to make porridge today, or congee, or in Chinese, zhou. So while I'm prepping everything up here, Eli's actually in the kitchen making some lean pork and century egg congee. Also, if you're not super into spice, you can take the seeds out of the jalapeno. Chopping is actually my favorite part of cooking because this is what I grew up doing. I used to help my dad cook and he would let me chop everything. I guess be his sous chef while he cooked dinner. But I'll show you guys the final flavor plate. We have our shallot, our garlic, ginger, some orange peel, and green onion. To prep up the tofu, all I'm gonna do is take her out, cross-hatch our tofu. So you can do this with the same knife. That's why it's easy. Almost all of my recipes are just like 1 pot or 1 wok or 1 pan and 1 cutting board. And for frying up tofu, a pro trick is you want to take some paper towel and try to sop up some of that liquid. I'm about to make the sauce and fry up the tofu. 1 teaspoon of gochujang, and I have this gigantic tub. I actually don't measure anything. I go based off vibes. So like, to me, this is giving 1 teaspoon. Next, I'm gonna put in 1 teaspoon of sesame seeds. Again, it's gonna be vibes. 1 teaspoon of red chili flakes. Now we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. The spoon is basically just purely for decoration at this point. We have authentic Canadian maple syrup, and we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of this. Let's do 1 tablespoon of sriracha. Lastly, we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of mirin and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. This is the brand of soy sauce I love. Oh, you just know the flavor is gonna be so good. And while I mix this up, I'm also gonna heat up some oil in a pan to fry our tofu. To fry up the tofu, I put some avocado oil in a hot pan. I did either side for about 5 minutes. So I didn't film it because I'm really scared of hot oil. Let's toss this in, shall we? It's gonna smell so good in here. What a beauty. Adding the sauce in. This looks amazing. First bite. Oh, the century egg absolutely makes the dish. And then we're gonna try just 1 bite of the tofu. I'm not even gonna show you guys what the tofu looks like right now because I messed it up really, really bad when I flipped it in the pan. Just a bite. Such a simple meal, but so flavorful. Tonight we are going to make a chicken pad see ew with some Chinese broccoli And we're also gonna make some garlic eggplant with these Chinese eggplants. So let's prep up the eggplants first because we need to let them soak for a bit. And then I'm gonna prep up everything I need for the pad see ew. Me, myself, and I don't like touching raw chicken. So I'm gonna make my husband Eli do that. I always make him just chop it up into really thin like strips, bite-sized strips, maybe about this big. But everything else I will run through with you guys. So let's get into it, shall we? When you cook with a Chinese eggplant, you are basically using it as a sponge for flavor. It is incredibly versatile because it absorbs just whatever flavor of sauce you put in it. But because it soaks everything up, you kind of have to prep it a little bit. Otherwise, when you fry it, it basically just absorbs all the oil and then becomes this kind of oily mess. So what I like to do is I just cut the tops off and then I'll cut it in half so that I can get it to bite-sized strips. So I'll kind of split it open like that, maybe cut it again lengthwise. And I know a lot of people who kind of breaking it off with their hands. This rough break causes more surface area to be exposed, and this is really, really good for saucy dishes. And then what we're gonna do is just soak it in some salt water and then coat it in some cornstarch. That just helps it get a nice golden fry without soaking up all the oil, basically. And the sauce for this guy is incredibly easy. So now that we have our eggplant, I'm going to pour like 1 tablespoon of salt on this and then just cover it in water. While that guy is soaking, we'll work on just chopping up some garlic and ginger and then working on the sauce. So I really could not tell you how much of these things you should be using just because I always measure from the heart. I love putting extra ginger in when a recipe calls for ginger, and I love putting extra garlic in when a recipe calls for garlic. It's just like never gonna ruin the flavor of something, you know what I mean? It's only gonna make it better. Most of the recipes I've learned actually are just from online. Like I'll try something in a restaurant and really like it, and then want to go home and make it. And most of the time it's actually super simple. I feel like in Asian cuisines, you have your basic sauces, you have your basic flavors, and then you always have a protein, a veggie, and a carb. Super easy. And guys, I grew up eating literally Chinese food every single meal, every single day until I was 18. In every basic Asian kitchen, you have basically the same sauces: light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, some sugar, and obviously your flavors. For the garlic eggplant, what we're gonna do is about 1 tablespoon water, 1 tablespoon light soy sauce, half a teaspoon of dark soy sauce. Dark soy sauce, by the way, is mostly for color because most of the sodium and the flavor and the umami flavor is coming from the light soy sauce. And then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of sugar. The sugar makes the sauce super like caramelized and it sticks to your eggplant. So that's a non-negotiable. The last thing we're gonna add to this is 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. And the cornstarch will thicken it up and make it look a little bit more of like a slurry and a sauce that's gonna coat the eggplant. Mix it all up. And I'll leave the sauce over to the side for when we go to the wok. I'm gonna just chop up the Chinese broccoli for our pad see ew. Stem is very thick, so what I do is I'll chop up the stems like fairly small so that we can cook them more easily. And then when we get to the leaf part, I'll cut it slightly wider. So like really small, bit, maybe like that big, depending on how you like your vegetables. For the noodles of the pad see ew, I have these wide rice noodles. Super important to have the wide instead of the thin. They should be cooked already, so I'll just dunk this in a big bowl full of scalding hot water for like 5-ish minutes. For this sauce, we're gonna start off with our dark soy sauce again. 2 teaspoons of this. We're gonna do 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. This is gonna give it the sour kick that is signature to pad see ew. 2 teaspoons of sugar. The secret sauce is the oyster sauce. We're gonna do 1.5 tablespoons of this bad boy. It's always so hard to get oyster sauce out of the bottle. The chicken is cooking, and thank you, Eli, for handling the chicken so I don't have to. It's getting hot in here, so I took off my sweater, but We are gonna soak the rice noodles now. I just have a giant bowl and we are gonna pour some hot water all over it. So I have a wok that's still a little bit hot from the chicken, and there's a little bit of oil in here, garlic that we previously chopped to get just a tiny little bit fragrant. And then we're gonna add the veggies in. So I'm gonna try my best to add the stems in first, but I'm realizing now that I fucked up a little bit plating this and I definitely mixed it all up. Then we'll add in the rest of the veggies. As veggies cook, they get really bright green. So as soon as they get to that stage, I'm gonna just push them over to one side and crack 1 or 2 eggs in directly into the pan. Here's all the cooked veggies and egg. So I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more oil. We have the sauce ready as well. Jelly Bean, what are you doing here? You gotta get out of the kitchen, Jelly Bean. Do you guys see her? At least make sure all the noodles have some sauce before just leaving this in place to caramelize. Just gonna give it one quick toss and then throw everything else back in. Veggies in. And ideally, you would probably do this in a much smaller portion. I've kind of doubled the size of my portions, but because I want leftovers for tomorrow. For the second dish, I'm gonna heat up the pan. Add some oil. And you remember our eggplants? So I just drained out the water and added a little bit of cornstarch in there to toss around. That'll help with our frying problem. We're gonna fry these bad boys until they're golden, so about 8 to 10 minutes. Nice. So I'm gonna just push it off to the side and then add my garlic and ginger. For the final touch, we're gonna add the sauce. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Green onion that I just freshly chopped. And I love putting sesame seeds on top of everything. So we're gonna do a little bit of sesame. But here's our pad see ew. I put one on a plate for no reason. And here's our garlicky eggplant. And we're also gonna try our pad see ew. A bite of everything. Delicious. Overall, a success. Hello, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we are doing something super quick because I just got back from work. It's been a long day, I'm ravenous, I'm a little bit tired. So let's just jump straight into it. I have some leftover ground pork from making mapo tofu last week. And I also have some green beans here that I just washed and pulled the ends off of. And what we're gonna do is make a stir fry with that and toss in some udon noodles for a super quick noodle stir fry. So first thing we're gonna do is cook up the meat. I love making Eli kind of separate out the meat into different bags. So I have a hot pan right now that I just put some avocado oil in, and I'm going to just lightly, what would you call this? Saute the meat, I guess. I'll just get a little bit of color on it. I'm going to prep up a little bit of garlic and onion for the green beans. Also, I wanted to stress that if you're gonna cook with meat, you'll notice that it kind of has a smell, I don't know how to describe it. It just smells like meat. And so an essential for me to have in the pantry is housing wine. And I find that it's just super useful to get rid of that smell. Pour a generous amount of it in. Actually, ground pepper. Put in a little bit of ground cumin. Couldn't tell already, I kind of mixed up as I go along. So I'm just gonna add in a little bit of sesame oil and sesame seeds. I'm gonna toss the onions in first so that they have a chance to caramelize a tiny bit. And then I'm going to add in some chopped garlic and our green beans. Caramelizing onions is the only thing I'll do on low heat because it cannot be rushed. I've also taken the time to put on a pot of water for the udon. I think I'm gonna drop in 2 just in case I want some leftovers. All right, this is what happens when you're just making stuff up. I think what I'm gonna do is take the onions out and blister the green beans first. So the trick is to have a scalding hot wok and then kind of just let the skin touch the wok for a minute or 2 so that it gets really like blistery and burnt almost. That gives it the best texture. And then to kind of cook through the rest of the bean, I'll toss on a lid and steam it. Of course, we have soy sauce, non-negotiable, sesame oil, a little bit of oyster sauce. I just wanted to soak up the rest of the sauce and get a little bit crispy. Spread everything out, and I'm gonna leave it for like 30 seconds. And then we're gonna toss all of our veggies back into the pan. Giving it a little taste to see what other sauces I should add. Definitely salty enough. So I might just add some sesame seeds on top. I'm not gonna lie, it does not look like much, but it's gonna be super tasty. And I also put some fresh kimchi in this little bowl that I made. And I feel like, you know, always just have some kimchi on hand because it's the best side dish. First bite, I'm gonna get a bean in there and some udon. It's super smoky and really rich in umami. Super easy dinner. Was it chaotic? Yes. Does it taste good? Also yes. Hi guys, welcome back to another dinner. We're gonna cook together, and tonight it's gonna be super simple because I am so tired and it's honestly so cold outside too. So we're gonna go soup, obviously. It's a super simple soup with minimal ingredients and just one pot. So what I'm gonna do is have a pot of water boiling while I prep these ingredients, and then I'm gonna drop in some Korean anchovies, also a bunch of minced garlic, while I boil my potato along with an onion. And then later I'm gonna be putting in zucchini and soft tofu. This I'm gonna slice into slightly larger pieces than usual because we're gonna be boiling it for so long. I don't want it to get too mushy. Also a note on the tofu, you can use whatever firmness you like, but I just chose soft tofu for this recipe. Because I usually leave the hard tofu that I have in the fridge for frying. There's our onion prepped. For the potato, I'm gonna just cut it into smaller cubes so that it has a chance to boil and get soft. For the zucchini, I'm also gonna cut it up in about the size of those are zucchini pieces. Look how much garlic I chopped up just for this one soup. Insane. Water is boiling and I'm gonna drop all the garlic in. Okay, yeah, that was definitely an insane amount of garlic to put in here, but it's gonna be tasty. I buy these pre-packaged, but this is anchovies and herrings. And I guess just like general shrimp. This is basically gonna add all of the umami flavor, and I like the fact that they're in these packets already, so I can just toss them in. But yeah. It smells like a fish market, but it's gonna give your soup an amazing flavor. I literally don't know what this is called in English because there's only Korean on here, but we use this bean paste for mapo tofu as well, and it's really good. You can also use miso paste if you want. Just something like fermented bean paste. Jelly Bean, what are you doing here? You can't be in the kitchen. You know that. You can't be in the kitchen. She's staring at me making food. This is about how much base I'm gonna put. Actually, probably more. This is about how much base I'm gonna put in. And let's just stir it in the soup. Oh, cutie girl. When I say this recipe is easy, guys, I really mean it. So the soup is just boiling a little bit, and I'm gonna toss in the onions and potato. gonna just leave this for 10 minutes and let it boil. The onions are getting pretty translucent, and that's how I know it's almost done. So I have the tofu here, and I'm gonna just slice it up and throw it in. All right, tossing in all of the tofu. And I also have the zucchini here that we prepped, so I'm gonna toss all that in as well. It's gonna be a big boy soup. But then we're gonna leave that for, I'm gonna say like 5 more minutes. 5 seems good. Wow, look at that beauty. Oh, also I forgot to mention, while this was all happening, I made some rice in my rice cooker, and I'm gonna be eating the soup with rice. I think it's pretty much ready. I mean, all of the stuff is very easy to cook, so I'm gonna fish it out and serve it with some white rice and maybe a little bit of kimchi on the side if we're feeling crazy. Maybe like 1 more second on the zucchini. Let's try a potato. Also, before anyone comes at me for this being gross, it's my own house, it's my own damn soup, so I can do whatever I want. The potato is ready. Usually I would add some green onion in this right now, but my green onion is looking kind of old, so I kind of just am not feeling like it. But I am gonna put some sesame seeds on top. This is way too big a bowl. Wow, look at this delicious spread. Here's a little bit of kimchi, white rice, and our stew. Let's try it. Perfect, not too salty. Let's try it with a little bit of the rice and some tofu. Cheers. Absolute perfection. I'm gonna go enjoy this. I'll see you guys in the next one.